Today we are comparing the Aiyima A07 Pro to the Fosi Audio BT20A Pro. So sit down, grab a cup of coffee, and let's see which one of these amps is the best value under $100. Oh, Aiyima. You know, we owe a lot to Aiyima because they were the first company that kind of took the 3255 chipset from Texas Instruments and made it into a very affordable package. Now, I don't know if they did it on purpose or if they just got lucky, but regardless, the 3255 chipset for a Class D amplifier is, in my opinion, the best sounding Class D amplifier you can get. Also, you can bump up the power all the way up to a 48 volt 10 amp power supply to get some serious juice out of these. Even with a stock power supply, you're still going to get usable power around 40 watts into 8 ohms, maybe 50 watts into 4 ohms, depending upon which one is included. The Aiyima A07 Pro comes with a 36 volt 5 amp power supply, which is a big step up from the 24 4.5 amp power supply that was included with the original Aiyima A07. Aiyima has sold a boatload of the A07s, and if you go to Amazon, there's over 1,000 ratings, all 4.5 stars. To have over 1,000 ratings on a little hi-fi Class D amp is good. That means a lot of people have purchased it and a lot of people like it. So, is the A07 Pro a true upgrade over the A07, and does it compete with the Fosi Audio BT20A Pro? Let's find out. All right, let's take a little walk around this thing. So it's pretty similar to the original, although it has tone controls, which the original did not. It also has a little toggle switch over here for Bluetooth and RCA, and then power right here. Boop, boop. Is what it looks like on top. Pretty similar. This is the Fosi Audio BT20A. This one's a little bit smaller, but this one also feels quite a bit heftier than the Aiyima. On the back, again, pretty straightforward. Bluetooth, aerial, RCA input, line output for subwoofer or whatever, I guess if you want to use this as a preamp, volume control or something. And then here's the speaker outs, and then power connection right there. Again, this does come with a 36 volt 5 amp power supply, which is greater than the 32 volt power supply that comes with the Fosi Audio. Fosi Audio, again, similar tone controls. Although Fosi always fakes me out because I feel like bass should be over here and Fosi switches them. So just keep that in mind if you're turning up the treble and it sounds like it's getting worse. It's because you're turning the wrong knob. You know, you'd think that if someone is using a 3255 chipset, that they would all sound pretty much the same, and that couldn't be further from the truth. The original A07 I thought was full and natural sounding. It wasn't the cleanest amplifier as far as the mid-range, but you could kind of offset that by switching out the op amps to something more premium, like a Sparkos or a Burson, or even going upscale in the Texas Instruments. You spend like 10 or 15 bucks, get a little bit cleaner sound out of the op amp. The A07 Pro, to me and to my ear, sounds very different from the original. The first thing that jumped out at me when I turned this on was mid-range presence, and it just felt like the mid-range was leaned forward. It didn't feel as full on the bottom compared to the original. Now, with that said, the tone controls on here do not have a center detent, so you don't really know where the center is. I mean, you can kind of span it here and there, and I was able to get this a little bit fuller on the bottom with just a little bit of tone control manipulation. Conversely, though, when we are talking about an amplifier that almost looks identical from a form factor standpoint, from a feature standpoint, and from a price standpoint, the Fosi Audio BT20A in its stock form does come in and feels a lot more punchy on the bottom. Which one is better? That's really up to you. It depends on what you want. Depends on what speaker you're connecting to it. But there is a remarkable difference in the sound from these two little amps. I'm going to open this one up. So let's take a look at the inside of the A07 Pro. So these two look quite a bit different under the hood. So this is the Fosi audio, and right down here you can see the two swappable op amps. So here's the two sockets for your op amps. So there's two on the Fosi audio, and then you have your caps right here. And these parts are pretty good. This is the Aiyima, and if you look right here, you can see there's actually 4 socketed op amps. So you can swap up to 4 of the op amps. I'm assuming one is on the input and one is on the output stage, or maybe one is on the Bluetooth stage. I don't know. If you know, put it in the comments. Actually, oh, you know what? Here's a 5th op amp. So it looks like there's 5 op amps that you can change out on the Aiyima. Fairly different. The Aiyima right here, a little bit bigger. They still feel like they weigh the same, whether or not that matters. And there's a big cap up on top for the Aiyima. Interesting. So what are my final thoughts? Both remarkable amps for 80 bucks, and that's pretty much the street price. I know that they list for around $100 a piece, but there's almost always a coupon. I think the Aiyima A07 Pro seems a little bit cleaner and more focused in the mid-range when you compare it to the Fosi Audio BT20A. I think the Fosi seems kind of like the amp that would probably play better with rock and roll, with metal, but if you're into acoustic stuff or jazz stuff, or you want that last amount of detail in vocals and acoustic instruments, maybe orchestral instruments, they're both great, and tiny, tiny, tiny differences as far as sonic signature. I think these are both a big step up from something like the Sony. There's a 2-channel Sony that comes in around $100 when it's on sale. Both, I think, mop the floor with the Sony as far as cleanliness, clarity, but the Aiyima is cleaner through the mid-range. I mean, I don't know how to say it any differently. Obviously, you have a lot more options to swap the op amps with the Aiyima versus the Fosi Audio, but you still have it with the Fosi Audio. You get a more powerful power supply with the Aiyima versus the Fosi Audio, but it's about 10 watts difference. If you want 10 watts more, then get the Aiyima. Both of these amps with tone controls, you can kind of dial it in how you want to. Tone controls on the Aiyima, a little bit harder to kind of find center. Does it really matter? No, because ultimately it's what you want to hear. Neither one of these tone controls is defeatable either, so they're on. So you might as well put them where it sounds good for you. There's some pros and cons for both of these, but the pro is that they're both good. Get it? Pro? They're both pro models? Yeah. Anyway, I can't really say which one is better. I think if I was choosing, I'd probably go with the Fosi, simply because it seems like there's a little bit more meat on the bone on the bottom end, and I like a little bit of punch in my music. Not saying that the Aiyima is too thin. I'm just saying that the Fosi is still a little bit more, has a little bit more grunt than the Aiyima. So, if you want to support the channel, you can sign up for Patreon, patreon.com/cheapaudioman. Every Sunday, we have patron-only Zooms. We also have patron-only Discord and a patron-only Facebook group. You can also sign up for Amazon Music, Tidal, or Rune. Links in the description. Click sign up. There's a free trial. Even if you quit, I still get a couple of dollars. You can also use the affiliate links in the description. I will have both of these amplifiers linked. If you click and you buy, I do get a commission, but it doesn't cost you any more, so it's a great way to support the channel. You can also buy a coffee mug, or you can use the thanks button. Give me a tip and fill this with coffee, but don't feel compelled to give me anything. So don't binge watch anything on Netflix or Hulu. Binge listen, maybe through your new Aiyima A07 Pro or your Fosi Audio BT20 Pro, and fill your soul with happiness. And with that, I'm Randy. I'm the Cheap Audio Man.